Lamar Odom was a two-time NBA champion, a multi-millionaire, and the idol of millions. It seemed he had won at life. But one day, he was found unconscious in one of the most scandalous places in Nevada. How did a man who had absolute everything end up at rock bottom? In this video, you will find out what tragedy haunted him since childhood, what was hidden behind the pretty picture of success, and why his entire life began to collapse long before that fateful day. And at the end, a little-known fact about Lamar Odom awaits you, which not even all NBA fans know. After hearing it, you will look at this story in a completely different light. Lamar Odom won 2 NBA championship titles. He was called one of the most talented, versatile players of his generation. He earned tens of millions of dollars, played alongside Kobe Bryant, packed arenas, and was known far beyond the bounds of basketball. After his marriage to Khloe Kardashian, his life turned into a real reality show watched by millions of people around the world. It seemed he had received everything any athlete could dream of: fame, money, recognition, and a life that many could only envy. Yet one day, the entire world saw completely different headlines. Not another championship success, not a new contract, not a brilliant match. Instead, disturbing news appeared stating that the former NBA star had been found unconscious in a Nevada establishment. Doctors fought for his life for several days, and many no longer believed he would be able to recover. How did a man who stood at the very pinnacle of world basketball end up in such a situation? Why couldn't a talent envied by thousands of young players protect him from his own demons? And when exactly did his life begin to spiral rapidly out of control? The most surprising thing is that the real cause of this tragedy appeared long before the championship titles, millions of dollars, and worldwide fame. To understand Lamar Odom's story, we need to go back to the time when he was an ordinary boy from a rough neighborhood in New York who had no idea what trials fate had in store for him. And at the end of this video, a little-known fact about Lamar Odom awaits you, which far from all NBA fans even know. After it, you will most likely look at this whole story through completely different eyes. Lamar Joseph Odom was born on November 6, 1979, in the Queens district of New York. It was a place where many children grew accustomed to a harsh reality from an early age. Here, people had to grow up fast because the streets rarely forgave mistakes. But the hardest trials awaited Lamar not outside his home, but inside his own family. When he was only 12 years old, his mother, Kathy Mercer, passed away after a long battle with a severe illness. For a teenager, this was a shock impossible to comprehend right away. In a single instant, the person who was the primary source of love and protection disappeared. Making the situation even harder was the fact that Lamar's father, Joe Odom, had long suffered from addiction and practically did not participate in raising his son. Instead of parental care, the boy saw only a man sinking deeper and deeper into his own problems. In fact, Lamar was raised by his grandmother, Mildred. She became a true family to him, trying to give her grandson the peace and sense of security he lacked so much. Later, Odom repeatedly stated that it was his grandmother who helped him stay off the streets during years when many of his peers fell into crime or lost the chance at a normal life. However, the experiences he endured did not vanish without a trace. The loss of his mother, the absence of a complete family, and a constant feeling of loneliness left a deep mark. Outwardly, Lamar seemed calm and restrained, but inside, pain was gradually accumulating that almost no one knew about. Years later, these unhealed emotional wounds would remind him of themselves again and again when new trials fell his way. Fortunately, something appeared in the teenager's future that could change it. Basketball very quickly stopped being just a hobby. On the court, Lamar seemed to forget all his problems. It was there that he felt free, confident, and truly happy. With each passing year, it became increasingly obvious that the coaches were looking not just at a talented guy, but at a player with rare natural gifts who was destined to make a name for himself across all of America. Tall stature, long arms, excellent court vision, and technique surprising for his height quickly made Lamar Odom one of the most discussed young basketball players in the country. He could dribble almost like a guard, pass like a playmaker, and still fight confidently under the basket. Such versatile players were extremely rare, so with each season, interest in him only grew. During high school, Odom changed several schools, which was tied not only to basketball, but also to finding better opportunities for development. Despite all the changes, he invariably remained the star of school tournaments and ranked among the most promising players of his generation. Many experts were confident a big career lay ahead of him. After school, Lamar enrolled in the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, but could not stay there. Due to academic requirements, he was unable to play for the university team. Then, Odom transferred to the University of Rhode Island, where he finally got the opportunity to show why he was considered one of America's most talented young players. And he fully lived up to expectations. Already in his single season at Rhode Island, Lamar became the team leader, averaging over 17 points and nearly 10 rebounds per match. His confident play helped the university achieve its best result in years and reach the prestigious NCAA tournament. Basketball experts increasingly said Odom was ready for the next level. In 1999, he declared for the NBA draft. The risk was enormous. Many young players leaving college too early failed to meet expectations. But in Lamar's case, general managers saw exceptional talent. He was selected in the draft by the Los Angeles Clippers with the 4th overall pick. For a guy who grew up in the difficult conditions of New York, it was a life-altering moment. It seemed all the hardest trials were already behind. Now NBA arenas, multi-million-dollar contracts, and the opportunity to become one of the league's main stars opened up before him. But along with this new life began trials of an entirely different scale. His very first matches in the NBA showed that Lamar Odom did not end up in the league by accident. Despite his youth, he felt confident among the best basketball players in the world. His versatility amazed even experienced specialists. Standing over 2 meters tall, he freely dribbled the ball across the entire court, found teammates with unexpected passes, and was equally useful in both offense and defense. Many coaches admitted that finding a standard playing position for him was practically impossible. His debut season for the Los Angeles Clippers turned out brilliant. Odom immediately made the NBA All-Rookie team, and his statistics spoke for themselves. He regularly scored points, grabbed rebounds, and dished out assists, demonstrating a play style rarely seen in players of his height. Fans quickly grew to love the team's new leader, and experts began saying a true superstar career awaited him ahead. Later came stints with the Miami Heat, where he continued to progress and became one of the key players. Then, fate brought him back to Los Angeles, but to a different team, the Lakers. This very transfer became a turning point in his entire sports career. As part of the Lakers, Lamar found himself alongside Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol, Derek Fisher, and other strongest players of his time. The team was led by legendary coach Phil Jackson, who quickly realized how valuable Odom was to his playing system. Lamar did not strive to be the main hero at any cost. He did what helped the team win, fought for every loose ball, initiated fast breaks, covered multiple positions, and performed a huge volume of unnoticed yet extremely vital work. This dedication paid off. In 2009, the Los Angeles Lakers won the NBA championship title, and a year later repeated that success. Odom became a 2-time league champion and firmly cemented his reputation as one of the best versatile forwards of his generation. In 2011, he won the NBA Sixth Man of the Year award, recognition given to a basketball player who makes a huge impact on the game, even if he starts most matches on the bench. From the outside, life seemed to be going perfectly. Lamar had titles, the respect of teammates, the love of fans, and financial prosperity. His name constantly appeared in sports news, and further victories seemingly lay ahead. But precisely during this period, his fame ceased to be limited to basketball alone, and soon all of America began discussing Odom for an entirely different reason. NBA victories made Lamar Odom famous, but true worldwide popularity came to him after meeting Khloe Kardashian. Their relationship developed rapidly. Just a few weeks after beginning their romance, they decided to get married. This wedding instantly became one of the most discussed topics in American media, and Lamar himself unexpectedly turned into not only a sports star, but a permanent fixture of tabloid chronicles. Very soon, the couple starred in their own reality show, Khloe and Lamar. Millions of viewers watched their family life, daily chores, and joint trips week after week. For many fans, Odom ceased to be just a basketball player. Now he was known even by people who never watched NBA games. It seemed he managed to unite two worlds at once. By day, sports analysts discussed him. By evening, fans of television shows did. Incomes continued to rise, advertising offers poured in one after another, and popularity reached a level most athletes could only dream of. Yet along with fame, vanished the very thing that previously helped him maintain internal equilibrium. Practically every step he made now became public domain. Cameras followed him not only at matches, but at home, on vacation, and during family events. Any mistake instantly turned into loud news, and rumors spread faster than official comments could appear. Behind a public smile, intense internal tension increasingly hid. Lamar continued to take the court and projected the image of a man whose life was going perfectly. However, those close to him noticed that his former ease was gradually disappearing. He withdrew into himself more and more, and the emotional pain that had remained deep inside for years began to resurface. Most viewers saw a pretty picture, a luxurious house, a famous spouse, a successful career, and a carefree life. But reality was completely different. While the public admired his successes, Lamar fought a severe internal battle, the scale of which almost no one suspected. And soon, events struck him that would have been incredibly difficult for even the strongest person to endure. Lamar Odom was used to living with heavy memories since childhood, but the most painful blows of fate awaited him in adulthood. Each new loss seemed to return him to those experiences he was never able to leave in the past. Outwardly, he continued to smile, take the court, and talk to journalists. But inside, tension had been accumulating for years. One of the most terrifying tragedies was the loss of his infant son, Jaden. The boy was only 6 months old when an accident cut short his life. For Lamar, this was a shock whose consequences he felt for years to come. He later admitted that after this event, he was never quite the same person. The pain turned out so deep that he was never able to completely rid himself of it. This tragedy compounded memories of the mother he lost as a child and his complicated relationship with his father. All these events gradually accumulated into a heavy emotional burden that became harder and harder to carry. From the outside, it seemed a successful career helped him distract himself. But in reality, basketball could no longer completely silence the internal emptiness. Over time, Lamar increasingly sought ways to escape heavy thoughts, if only for a short while. It was then that alcohol and controlled substances began taking up more and more space in his life. At first, those around him noticed almost nothing. He continued to play, appear in public, and smile before cameras. But gradually, dependency grew stronger, and controlling it became harder. Every new day turned into a battle not only with opponents on the basketball court, but with himself. The more successful his life looked from the outside, the more his internal world collapsed. At a certain point, problems stopped hiding behind loud victories and family life. They began bursting out into the open, affecting his career, relationships with loved ones, and practically everything that had seemed unshakable just recently. Ahead of Lamar lay a period during which he risked losing absolutely everything he had strived for over many years. At first, Lamar Odom was certain he could handle everything on his own. He was used to overcoming hardships since childhood and disliked showing weakness to others. But dependency works differently. It does not appear instantly. Instead, it gradually takes control of a person, forcing them to make decisions that previously seemed impossible. Alcohol and banned substances entered his life more heavily. Behind outward calm lay a constant internal struggle. Odom tried to maintain the routine image of a successful athlete, but doing so became harder and harder. Training no longer brought its former joy, and problems outside the court gradually began reflecting on his game. Troubling conversations appeared more frequently in the sports world. Team management understood Lamar's talent hadn't gone anywhere, but his physical and emotional state no longer allowed him to play the kind of basketball that once amazed millions. After being traded from the Lakers to the Dallas Mavericks, his career sharply declined. The new chapter did not work out, and subsequent transfers could no longer return him to his former level. Equally severe trials awaited him in his personal life. His relationship with Khloe Kardashian grew increasingly tense. Constant rumors, substance issues, and emotional instability destroyed trust between the spouses. Attempts to save the family were made multiple times, but the situation only grew more complicated. In the end, their marriage dissolved, and a man who had recently seemed one of the happiest in the sports world found himself practically alone. By this point, Lamar had lost not only his former form, but a significant part of what he had built around himself for years. His career was fading rapidly, relationships with loved ones were collapsing, and his name appeared in the news increasingly not due to athletic achievements, but for entirely different reasons. Fans found it hard to believe that the very same two-time NBA champion had ended up in such a dire position. It seemed things couldn't possibly fall any lower. But ahead for Lamar lay an event that shook not just the basketball world, but all of America. It pushed his life to the brink, from which many never return. In the autumn of 2015, an event occurred that instantly became headline news not only in sports publications, but across all world media. Following the end of his career, Lamar Odom was in a severe emotional state and distancing himself further from normal life. In October, he arrived at a legally operating adult establishment in the state of Nevada. Back then, no one could even imagine how this trip would end. Several days later, staff found the former NBA star unconscious in his room. The situation proved so critical that emergency services were immediately called. Odom was urgently rushed first to a nearby hospital and then transferred to a major medical center in Las Vegas. Within the first few hours, it became clear that time was measured in minutes. Doctors diagnosed an extremely critical condition. Reports surfaced regarding severe complications caused by the impact of various substances on the body. For several days, Lamar remained in a coma, and specialists did everything possible to save his life. Information about his condition changed almost daily, and millions of people worldwide watched the news with anxiety. When the news became public, relatives, friends, and former teammates began arriving at the hospital. Khloe Kardashian was among the first by his side. Despite the fact that their relationship had effectively ended by that point, she decided to stay close during those hardest days. She later admitted that back then, only one thing mattered: that Lamar be given a chance to survive. The news shocked the entire basketball world. Fans, journalists, and former NBA players expressed support, and many couldn't believe that a man who had recently taken the court next to Kobe Bryant and won championship titles was now fighting for his life in a hospital ward. What was especially shocking was how rapidly this collapse happened. Just a few years earlier, he was considered one of the most recognizable basketball players on the planet. And now, doctors hesitated to make even cautious forecasts. Many were certain this would be the end of Lamar Odom's story. His body endured colossal strain, and the chances of a favorable outcome seemed minimal. But right then, something happened that many later called a true miracle. Defying the gloomiest expectations, he began showing the first signs of recovery. Ahead lay the hardest battle of all, the fight for the chance to learn how to live all over again. When Lamar Odom regained consciousness, it became clear the worst was behind him. But a long and incredibly difficult journey lay ahead. The consequences of what he endured proved so severe that doctors immediately warned him recovery would take a long time, and no one could predict the outcome. His body suffered a severe blow. Odom developed major kidney problems, required prolonged medical treatment, and several strokes he suffered noticeably affected his physical state. He moved with difficulty, experienced speech problems, and did not immediately recognize those around him. A man who had recently easily played dozens of minutes on the court against the best players in the world was now relearning the simplest actions from scratch. Every new day turned into a small victory. First, he tried to sit up on his own, then take a few steps with the help of specialists. Later, long work began on restoring his memory, speech, and motor coordination. Rehabilitation required immense patience. Things that once seemed natural now had to be mastered practically anew. Doctors, loved ones, and friends who wouldn't let him give up stood by his side. Odom gradually returned to a normal life, though he understood he would never be the same. He began speaking openly about his addiction, admitting that it was precisely what led him to catastrophe. These admissions became an important step because previously he preferred to hide his problems, even from those closest to him. Over time, Lamar began sharing more about what he felt during that period of his life. He confessed that for a long time he tried to run away from emotional pain, but realized it was impossible. The only way out was to honestly admit his mistakes and start fighting them. It was then that he truly realized the value of the second chance he received against the predictions of many specialists. His recovery was neither fast nor easy. There were periods when progress seemed to stall, but Odom kept moving forward, step by step. Gradually, he began appearing in public again, giving interviews and sharing his story in hopes it would help others avoid repeating his path. Yet the most important question remained: what would his life look like after everything he endured once the noise surrounding the tragedy finally settled down? After long months of treatment, Lamar Odom gradually began returning to normal life. Of course, returning to the NBA was no longer in the question. The main victory was different. He could walk on his own again, communicate with people, and make plans for the future. For a man who recently was given practically no chances by many, this was already a massive achievement. Odom stopped hiding his past. In numerous interviews, he spoke frankly about addiction, the tragedies he survived, and how easily even a successful person can lose control of their own life. He admitted that for many years he tried to dull internal pain through the wrong means, but in the end, it only worsened the situation. Now he wanted his story to serve as a warning to others. In 2019, Lamar published his autobiographical book, Darkness to Light, in which he detailed the hardest moments of his life. Many readers were surprised by his candor. He didn't try to justify his own mistakes or shift responsibility onto circumstances. On the contrary, Odom openly admitted that it was largely his own decisions that led to the consequences he had to face. Over time, he increasingly began participating in charitable and public projects dedicated to the recovery of individuals struggling with addiction. He spoke at various events, shared his story, and emphasized that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but the first step toward changing one's life. For many people, his words sounded especially convincing because they were backed by his own hard-earned experience. Of course, the past hasn't vanished anywhere. Memories of losses, a ruined career, and a tragedy that nearly cost him his life will stay with him forever. But today, Lamar Odom no longer tries to run away from those memories. He tries to live with them, treating them as a reminder of how quickly everything can be lost if one fails to stop in time. His story long ago ceased to be just the tale of a famous basketball player. It is a narrative about a man who experienced an incredible rise, hit rock bottom, and received a rare chance to start over from scratch. And that is precisely why Lamar Odom's fate still commands such interest, not only among NBA fans, but among millions of people who see in his story a reminder of how fragile even the most successful life can turn out to be. The story of Lamar Odom is a reminder that loud victories do not always mean internal happiness. From the outside, his life looked almost ideal. 2 NBA championship titles, millions of dollars, worldwide fame, a family, press attention, and fan love. But behind all this hid a man who spent years trying to cope with pain that originated in childhood. He managed to climb to the summit of world basketball, played alongside legends, and achieved what thousands of young athletes dream of. However, past traumas, personal tragedies, and addiction gradually destroyed his life from within. At a certain point, he came so close to the final line that many no longer believed in his return. Yet fate decided otherwise. Lamar received a chance that doesn't fall to everyone. He went through severe treatment, long rehabilitation, and managed to openly acknowledge his own mistakes. Today, his story is no longer just a tale of a talented basketball player, but an example of how vital it is to ask for help in time and not try to fight alone against what gradually destroys life. And as we promised at the very beginning, here is a little-known fact. Many know that Lamar Odom became a 2-time NBA champion and the league's 6th Man of the Year. But far from everyone knows that in 2010, the USA national team, with his participation, won the FIBA Basketball World Cup. Thanks to this victory, Odom entered a very exclusive circle of players who managed to capture both an NBA championship title and a FIBA World Cup gold medal. This success often remains in the shadow of his club career and the dramatic events that followed, even though it ultimately confirmed Lamar's status as one of the most versatile basketball players of his generation. Lamar Odom's story proves that real trials do not always happen on the basketball court. Sometimes the most important victory is not a championship title, but the ability to rise again after the hardest fall.